Sakamoto Taro is a legendary assassin in the underworld. Every time this name is mentioned, everyone is terrified. A man who was strong enough to defeat many notorious gangs at the same time was defeated by a girl who seemed to be as extremely normal, but has caused him to be accused of love. As a result, he gave up his job as an assassin to get married and have children. Many years passed. He has become a model father with a big body today. The young man who used to follow him came to find me after a long time of not seeing me. Exine really missed the brother he always admired in the assassin world. Inside the grocery store, there was a naughty kid who dared to make a request with Taro that if he hits the target, he must give a box of milk. It's true that the business has failed, and now he meets these little devils. He will probably go bankrupt soon. Sakamoto and his wife see that boy often comes to the shop recently. I don't understand how. Luckily, the arrow didn't hit the target. He was going to try again, but unexpectedly, he spilled the ink bottle on someone else's pants, making it even blacker. That bastard. That guy was quite good. He immediately grabbed him by the neck and wanted to teach him a lesson. Seeing this scene, the couple didn't know what to do. Then that bastard even put a thick mark on his pants. As a result, he was also beaten by that guy. Luckily, the legendary assassin stood up to block him and used a pin to poke his opponent's head. In reality, he only imagined it because he missed his job. His wife and children were here, but he wouldn't dare give them more money. Doing so, the whole family had to coax the boy without realizing that a guest had come to praise Sakamoto's technique. He stuck the pin into his lower jaw and hit the artery right away. If it was true, the other party would definitely have died. It greeted him, saying, "It's been a long time since I've seen you, Sakamoto," and ended up being killed in his mind because he was a psychic, so he could always read these kinds of thoughts. Because he was so scared, he also reminded his senior to remember that he was his subordinate. He stammered, unable to believe that the legendary assassin of that day has actually retired and become a fat grocery store owner like this. But he really wanted Taro to return to the underworld again. But the answer was no, because he already had a family. Hearing that made Shin feel quite angry, but there was nothing he could do. Remembering the time when he was at his peak, he was the terror of the underworld. The Tam Lake is famous, but now he throws it all away. It's really hard to understand. Taro doesn't care but focuses on the cup of noodles in front of him. It seems that everything has changed, from personality to eating habits. Please remember, in the past, this dad only ate dry food, never noodles. If they hadn't been together for a while, they probably wouldn't have realized that Shin was planning to smoke. But before he could light it, Sakamoto cut it off even faster. This shocked Shin deeply. This firmly confirmed that whether he was fat or thin, Taro could still kill Shin at any time. Suddenly, a neighbor came to ask for some help, making Shin think that he was disguised as a civilian to hire assassins. In reality, it's not like that. People just want to cut off the excess leaves on trees in this neighborhood. No one does not know about Taro, so they still often ask for help. The legendary assassin never hesitated, but always supported wholeheartedly. Even feeding the children had to go through him. Seeing the two children crying because there was no ball to play with, Sakamoto tore the ball in half and then remolded it as if nothing had happened. Shin, who followed him, was extremely angry when the older brother he admired became a beggar for the whole neighborhood. It was really a damned bullet. He praised Sakamoto for hiding his identity. "I'm excellent at my character, but now I see that my senior is really ridiculous." As soon as he finished speaking, the kid shot him in the head, making the young man angry. He also ran away, so he couldn't chase him. When they got to the car, their true nature was revealed. They hadn't seen each other for 5 years, but seeing that the legendary assassin was still as cool as ever, even though he had become a fat uncle, he really didn't want it to cooperate with Trinchien once more. At that moment, he received a call from his boss asking about persuasion. Sakamoto's reappearance shows that he has not yet fulfilled his request to be eliminated, because this is the rule in the assassin world. Once one's hands are stained with blood, it is very difficult to escape, even if that person is considered a legend. Also, I'll try to defend my brother, saying that he's just a fat guy right now and can't cause any trouble. However, he still refuses to say that whoever disappears from the gang, I'll log him out of life. But if he can't do it, he will be the one to die. Hearing that, the young man wanted to decide for himself. He went to buy some things to replenish his energy before starting the battle. Even though he loved his older brother, the psychic forced him to obey the gang's rules. That night, he couldn't sleep and kept thinking about the past. That year, Taro was always a solid support that made Exine extremely confident every time he went on a mission. If he didn't do it, someone else would get involved anyway, so it would be better to let his brother die by his own hand. That's what he thought. The next day, when two children were playing with a ball, they then asked to go over. The wife saw that and also greeted the boy happily, taking the ball out to invite him, but was refused because it was time to fight. Then Sakamoto sat in the store reading the newspaper. Seeing this guy come in, he also understood the problem immediately. He got into a defensive stance, mouthed asking me to come here to say goodbye, then pulled out a gun and shot Black instead. But that phase was blocked by a candy that spat out at the same speed, so shocked that he lost track. Mr. Shin can read minds. But with Sakamoto, it's harder than usual. He secretly creates a smoke screen and uses a rubber band to shoot at his stupid brother. I don't know why, but the power of the shot is very strong. He had to dodge, and before he could regain his posture, Taro had already sneaked up behind him and delivered the finishing blow. Immediately, his mind became hazy, and he felt like he was really stupid. It was really stupid to assassinate a legend like that at such a time. After he woke up, he realized he had been bandaged. The mother and daughter were happy to see him awake and invited him down to eat. The incident was so unexpected that it became a disaster. He didn't know what to do. He clearly tried to kill Sakamoto, but they treated him so kindly. The young man thought there was poison in the food. They had been trained to make their bodies immune, so Shin thought he would be okay. But the soup he sucked was so tasty. The wife saw it and reacted like this. She called her husband in the past, too. How many years had he been an assassin, and had anyone ever cared for him? Now that it's like that, he can't deny always cooking skills because she even conquered the legendary assassin. But the younger brother felt that the food was too warm. It was something he had never seen before, thinking that Sakamoto was trying to protect the little moments of everyday life like this. After eating, they went for a little walk and still had to say goodbye, thanking him very much for dinner. He also made a decision for himself, so he came back to meet the boss's face. The old man was disappointed, thinking that he couldn't do anything because of their previous relationship. The young man bowed his head and begged for Sakamoto's life. The others saw this and burst out laughing, because normally this guy is never weak. The boss asked why he covered for Sakamoto. He didn't hesitate to tell the story of Taro having a family. They didn't care about that. The assassin broke the law again and, of course, will have to suffer the consequences. Hearing that he wanted to change his life for Sakamoto, just hoping they would let him go, and also agreeing that pointing a gun at the person he admired was a mistake, so he wanted to take this opportunity to fix it. However, in the other guy's mind, he wanted to let him die first, and then send someone to kill Sakamoto. As a result, Shin turned around to confront them. The battle above was all heard by Taro at home. Seeing that, he acted like a real assassin. But the toys were still hidden everywhere. He hadn't touched these things for a long time, but that kid was in trouble, so he had to come save him. Let's go back to the present place. Shin defeated many of them. In general, they were just rookies in the assassin world, so it was not difficult to destroy them. The most worrying thing was the large number and modern weapons. Shin Asakura relied on his psychic ability to read the enemy's intentions to keep his life. They also realized the problem and said that if they got too close, their minds would be read. They all split into many angles to shoot, causing the situation to become worse. Getting worse, I said, please try to take down a few more people, but the bullets you brought with you are only one bandit left. You were trying to find a way to escape, but unexpectedly, you got hit by a stray bullet in the leg. You thought your life was over. Then the legendary assassin appeared. Taro used an electric gun to shock the others, burning them. Knowing that this was the one who needed to kill the old man, he focused on the general attack. Seeing that, he took out a pair of chopsticks used to eat noodles and considered them a self-defense weapon. All the shots they aimed at Sakamoto were blocked incredibly. In terms of physical strength, he was almost unrivaled. The skills of a veteran assassin were something he had within him. No matter how many bullets he fired, it was never enough to stop the other party. Helplessly, just like that, the one-sided battle that Sakamoto set up. If it were in the past, everyone would have died for sure. But because he already had a wife and children, he still kept them alive. Many of them were punched until their teeth were worn out without understanding what had just happened. The leader saw this and told his men do not try to take down Sakamoto alone. They had to cooperate. However, it was clear that the enemy only needed 2 knives, small enough to cut the gun in half along with the bodies of the fools. This is the price of aiming at a legendary assassin, Shin told. I would like to witness the whole scene. I secretly thought, this is indeed the senior I admired years ago. He asked, see, why did the senior know to come? Then he took out the pre-installed listening device to show me. I had calculated this, he said. So after defeating the kid, Sakamoto installed this thing on the gun. Liberation. He thought, from now on, no matter what, I will leave. In general, Taro is quite fond of him, so he threw him an apron along with that as an invitation to work at the shop, of course, full salary, although a bit low, but enough to live on. It was fun. This happened so fast that Shin didn't understand anything, but a few days later, the young man started to get used to the new job. Why is Taro recruiting? He was busy eating noodles, but Aoi and her daughter liked him quite a bit, so everything was fine. His psychic ability was now used to help shoppers. The old lady also praised the young man for being so talented and able to guess what a terrible thing I want to buy. The little boy who usually goes to the shop to ask Shin to go out, but he was still on duty, so he refused when asked about his previous job. Shin was about to say the result, but was scared to death by Taro. But a few days later, Shin really got used to the grocery business. Everything was neatly arranged, easy to see. It also recounted Mr. Taro's eye-catching action scenes the day before, even though he retired. But Sakamoto is still the strongest. He can kill all villains in one blow. His wife accidentally heard this sentence and was extremely angry. "Oh, my husband, are you planning to return to being an assassin?" Taro jerked. He pretended to be innocent, like I didn't do anything. "Let me ask again to be sure about those people from the other day," Shin said. "They're all dead, aren't they? My brother told me to make sure he doesn't die, but God knows if he's disabled or not." The wife reminded the legendary assassin to remember that if Taro commits a crime, she will definitely file for divorce. It's no joke at this point in time. The only two words that could defeat Sakamoto forced him to obey. Seeing that, he curiously asked. It seemed that the old man stabbed Shin for being stupid. Luckily, it was only in his mind, so he was also shy next time, not daring to say anymore. A little later, the two brothers went to Chinatown to buy things. He looked surprised, not expecting this place to be so big. He was confused because there were still many places to buy things. Why does it have to be here? Taro brought out this type of dumpling that only bakes 50 of these delicious buns every day. It's enough for mother and daughter. Just thinking about it makes that Shin happy. Sakamoto really loves his family. When a strange object falls right on the head of the legendary assassin, and the body is obviously fine, but the dumpling, it's just crushed, just dusted off the outside. The girl who crushed the dumplings was actually being chased, so she jumped down from above. Seeing that they were so stubborn, she had to stay and fight because she had some martial arts skills. She said that it would be a long time before the idiots could catch her. "Makes things more complicated," Shin said. "Please ask your seniors for advice, because if you interfere with your wife and know for sure, it will be a big deal." The battle is now starting. Although it is a weak attack, Lu Xiaotong's technique is very good enough. The power to take down several people at the same time. Please realize that this girl is using Tai Chi Bao. Then 3 people then surrounded her, intending to attack at the same time, but still failed. The girl easily slipped behind and took them all down. She was thinking of taking a breath when the last guy came out of nowhere and caught her. She couldn't escape. These people were angry for a while now, so they were planning to use a knife to stab her. They were ordered to keep her alive. Do anything, so don't be afraid. However, Taro didn't let this go as he wanted, using pliers to break the knife in half, shocking everyone with just a gentle punch. The other guy immediately passed out. Shin hit the head of the guy who was controlling her. She had no way to escape, but she also had to take down the guy holding the gun so no one would get hurt because of her. This extremely cool fighting skill made Shin feel confused. Before I could introduce it, the others came and forced the 3 of them to run away immediately. Sakamoto conveniently carried Lu Xiaotong and ran away, making the others helpless. The Chinese boss, after knowing that Lu Xiaotong had escaped, was extremely angry with his subordinates. Knowing that 2 extremely strong men were involved in this matter, the old man heard that and was very angry, because every time he let that girl escape, he was the leader of the gang and the one who once killed Lu Xiaotong's entire house to rob property. So she is a thorn in the eye that needs to be removed. Then every night can be delicious. The other guy was also scolded and beaten, then asked to go find backup immediately. But when he stood up, he was killed by an assassin. The slash was so fast that his head could still move. It was truly horrifying. They were crazy brothers. Even the old man was afraid of their brutality from Bacho and Sunhee. Seeing that they had their hands on the old man, he immediately ordered them to take the key from the Lu Xiaotong's body and bring it back to him. With it, they would control the whole world. Then they would be able to enjoy the glory. Bacho and Sunhee heard that. They confirmed whether they could kill those who got in their way. He accepted as long as he could complete the mission, which made the 2 brothers happy. At this time, Taro and others were running like crazy on the roof. After the introduction, Shin was shocked to learn that she was the daughter of a mafia family and a famous member of the 6 clans. When asked what they wanted from her, she showed off the key used to open the secret treasury of the family. It was entrusted to the daughter by her parents, but unexpectedly, they were murdered. They thought it better to throw it away. This way, they could both save their lives and not let those people steal it. Speaking of this, Lu Xiaotong got angry because her parents sacrificed their lives to protect this thing. If she threw it away, their deaths would be in vain. Thinking back to that night, she told herself that she had to try harder. She survived so that she could see her parents in heaven. The incident above had nothing to do with the two of them, so she said goodbye and wanted to chase after them, but was pulled back by her senior, the legendary assassin. Want to know if Lu Xiaoteng can make dumplings? She didn't understand anything, but still said that her father taught him how to make them. Then Shin asked, suddenly feeling uneasy, advised Sakamoto not to get too involved. He had decided to give up on his shopping and wanted to save this girl, but in return, she had to make delicious dumplings to repay him. This was the firm condition that surprised her. At this moment, two assassins arrived and kicked Sakamoto away 100 meters. It's true that there's no other way. He had to stay and fight. She realized that these were twin brothers who were famous assassins in this area. The rent is very high, but they guarantee that they will always find prey. They always talk about morality, but in reality, Bacho and Sun here are serial killers who use other people's lives to buy burials whenever they have free time. This guy uses the victim's head to draw. In general, it's very perverted. Hearing this, Shin immediately understood and rushed to punch him. That was really fast, but the other guy knew martial arts. He thought he went crazy when he saw his teammate being beaten. "Kill please," he said funny, because they don't even know the legendary assassin's name. Then just pathetic amateurs immediately got targeted. But the truth is that the other guy, right? Taro came back and hit him straight on the head, extremely strong. The whole floor was destroyed. However, that move was still not enough to knock down Sun. He suddenly asked, "Who are you?" He didn't even bother to say anything. The two brothers told themselves that it was because the ceiling was old that they got hit by the punch. They then said to tear Taro to pieces, but Bacho asks for the small key. She said, "This is the last relic of my parents. Even if I die, I will not give it up." She was so angry that she almost rushed in and risked her life, but was taken away by Sakamoto. They were professional killers, so they knew that sentence was used to provoke her to continue. He continued to throw hidden weapons, but was easily blocked. Taro said, "No one has the right to decide what is important to others." That is what he learned from his wife at home. He recalled that year when the two were dating, when Taro went to kill someone, making his clothes covered in blood. Always felt cold before the job of an assassin, so she didn't accept that she didn't need a gift from the hands of harmed people. Sakamoto didn't understand the result and was scared. "If he continues to do those cruel things, don't even dream of marrying me," she said, and jumped straight down. In reality, she also loves this man very much, so she did that. He was determined to change. Suddenly, Taro rushed to protect her, landing safely. She also innocently said that the fall was higher than she thought, making Taro helpless. She said, "What you did just now was to help people." The man she loved realized that death was very scary, especially for those who stayed behind. If she hadn't survived, wouldn't he have been heartbroken? From then on, Sakamoto understood the importance of death. Taro also promised to never kill again, considering this a rule between them. And at the same time, to compensate for the previous lives that died at his hands, Taro will have to use the rest of his life to save people. This made Shin cry nonstop, and was also reminded by my senior not to kill from now on. Seeing that, the other two guys also rushed into fight. Seeing them using weapons, he had to use kitchen utensils to defend himself. Shin occasionally contributed, but mainly Sakamoto realized that these two had some ability. Bacho and Sun Hai decided to coordinate their attacks because they were twins, so they understood each other very well. Unfortunately, after using their ultimate technique, they still couldn't land a single hit. It's been a long time since they used as much strength as they did today, so they were already paralyzed. The others felt it's hard to understand how he could slash at such high speed at the same time, and still avoid all of them. Their slashes had never been dodged like that before. He was about to continue when suddenly the whole pot was smashed straight into the head of that little brother. Quickly, it made the older brother startled. He also broke the proud weapon that was only the size of a pan. Although the other thing was reinforced, it hurt a bit because he had been a long time since he had touched something so heavy. He turned to attack Lu Xiaoteng. Then Shin, who read that thought, immediately strangled him and knocked him down. Taro then carried the whole refrigerator straight to him and knocked him unconscious on the spot. After finishing, the girl asked what kind of work they do. Then, knowing they were lowly employees, hearing that, she was also happy, thanked all three profusely, then brought the other two back to the production site. Lu Xiaoteng also used a knife to threaten the old man, making him scared because of respect for Sakamoto and his words to not kill anyone. So this girl didn't kill but only tortured the boy. She thought Shivi avenged her parents. Seeing that it wasn't enough, Shin was about to help a few more times when Taro killed him again, reminding him in his head. It was less talkative, less pathetic, thinking that this was enough. At the same time, She invited the other two into the warehouse to explore. Inside, there were indeed many treasures, but the most valuable thing was the jar of wine that her father left behind, which turned out to be a family heirloom. The head of the Luke family will keep the treasure here of Liu Xiaotong's father, which is the wine, so that when he is old enough, he can drink it with his daughter. When she reads this message, she will be moved to tears, so she opens it. He invited the two brothers to thank them for helping. The crushed buns would be the drinking food to prove their friendship. From now until the next day when returning to normal life, Shin was very surprised when the little girl was present. The road has been accepted. She will make original dumplings to sell here. As for that huge treasure, how is it calculated? She called him a fool, because who would sell something that has been passed down for generations? Take money, but from now on, they will all become Sakamoto family members. So they have to follow the first rule, which is not to kill anyone. If they do, they will be killed by the devil. It sounds contradictory, but he doesn't care.